This is the Moonlight Graham Show, a freewheeling conversation with the role players, the underdogs, and guys with flat-out great stories in sports.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonlight Graham Show, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and your family for our last episode of this year and our last episode of this season of the podcast. Tommy Griffin and I get back in the sauna. And so today's episode, we are talking about our best and our worst moments of 2021 while being in a 210-degree sauna. So naturally, things start out in a pretty relaxed manner, but as the room gets hotter, as our takes get hotter, you can see it affect our brains a little bit. At one point, I can't even remember Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball's name, because it's so gosh dang hot in the sauna. But it's always fun to get in the sauna and record an episode with Tommy. We recap our years. And at one point, I think we get a little bit over our skis talking about Dogecoin, Bitcoin, GameStop, the billionaire space race. But there's nobody better to break down your year with than Tommy Griffin, especially if you have a chance to spend an hour in a sauna with him. So this one was a lot of fun to do, of course, and I think you guys will enjoy it as well. As always, thank you so much for supporting the podcast this year. This year was our biggest year of the podcast that we've ever done, so a lot to be thankful for there. So thank you guys for following the show, for subscribing, for giving us 5-star reviews, for buying shirts. We really appreciate that. I hope that your year, you continue to be safe, you continue to be healthy, and you continue to subscribe to the Moonlight Graham Show. So enjoy the last episode of this season, the last episode of 2021. We're going to take a little bit of break here and have a wonderful new year.
Back in the sauna, Tom, after a long time. It's been a couple of years since we've been in the sauna, and we are recapping 2021, which was a great year. How you feeling?
It feels good to be home. I feel like I'm in my home away from home. Although they added another gate. You have to go through 2 gates now to get into this neighborhood.
I tell you, there's wealth, and then there's what we're experiencing right now.
There's having a dry sauna in your basement.
Next thing, they'll have multiple sinks in the same bathroom.
Oh, my God. I feel like there was a robot vacuum in the house.
There was a robot vacuum when we walked in. The sauna is currently 112 degrees, and we're going to be talking about our top things of 2021, which when I was thinking back on the year, Tom, man, this year went quick. I know older people always talk about how the time just goes faster than ever, but this year was the fastest year of my life.
I can explain that to you. Do you want to know why this was the fastest year of your life?
What is that?
Fitzpatrick. That's why it was the fastest year of your life.
Well, yeah, Fitzpatrick was born December 9th of 2020, so I had the whole year of raising him.
By yourself almost.
But, yeah, actually, I did not do the lion's share of that. My wife, Tori, is a fantastic parent. But one of the highlights of my year was every night we get in this parenting routine. So it was fun getting to this parenting routine. That was one thing everybody said, you got to get into a routine. You got to get into a routine. So one of the things with our routine is we have 6:30 bath time with Fitz every night. And one of my favorite things, one of my highlights of my year was every night, back when Fitz had this little thing that you would sit him in the bathtub, right? You'd sit him in the bathtub. He'd be all tense. And then you sit him in, he would relax. And then every time for like 5 months straight, once he relaxed, he would pee. He would pee this high arcing pee. And it was just hilarious every time. Like of 150 nights straight, Fitz, he'd get comfortable in the tub and then he'd pee. Now he's big enough. He doesn't need the little thing inside of the bathtub anymore. You just put him in. He probably pees under the water.
He's still peeing.
Yeah, he's still peeing. But it was just awesome because guys have a tendency to pee in the shower every now and again. And now I learned that it starts at a very young age.
It's the way God intended.
So Tom, when you look back on 2021, I just said my top moment, I think, was Fitz peeing in the bathtub every night. What was the top moment or first thing that popped in your mind as great moments of this past year?
Well, before I go there, one of your worst moments then might have been, did Fitz ever poop in the bathtub?
Never pooped in the tub.
Oh my God. That now we did the same thing. We did the nightly bath. We did the routine. My wife is a superwoman, so we were super consistent. She was a great at leading that. But man, it's probably only happened like 3. I have 3 kids. The oldest is 9. It's probably only happened like 3 times.
When did they first pee or poop in the bathtub?
I mean, they had to have been out of, like, we had like a whale. That was the thing that the baby tub was like this whale thing.
Yeah.
They were out of the whale. I mean, they were in the bathtub, and then all of a sudden there's just poop.
Because actually about an hour ago, as I was getting Fitz out of the tub, he farted when I had him wrapped up in the towel to take him to his room to put his pajamas on. He farted, and it was like a wet fart. And I was like, are you kidding me? Did Fitz just poop into the towel? And he didn't. It was a fart, and it made me laugh so hard.
He probably giggled too.
Yeah. Well, he just thinks it's normal. The kid's just the best.
Yeah, they are. It is awesome. Okay, best part of my, I thought about that a lot as we were getting ready for this, and I think like a family one, I think it's just been great. I've had so much time at home with my kids. I'm a teacher, so I always get the summer. We had the best summer ever. We were at the pool every day. We had so much fun. It kind of felt like life was getting back to normal. I mean, you were outside, of course, but just we had the best summer ever. The highlight was the Hyperion 4th of July. That was like,
you guys are country clubbers now.
Oh yeah, we go to Hyperion, and it's awesome. We love it. But the Hyperion 4th of July was my absolute highlight of the year.
Nice, right in the middle of the year, just like Sandlot.
Oh my! Seriously, it's like best family memories ever. My kids still talk about it.
I think my favorite sports memory of this past year was the Field of Dreams game, and it comes probably most people could have guessed that. It was the highlight of the podcast for this year for sure, and the highlight of my sports calendar, and just being able to experience that. I had tickets with my dad and I, but then, if you remember, my dad had to bail literally the day before because he got sick. He didn't have COVID, but he got sick, and he just could not go. And so my brother Neil and I went, and Neil is like the perfect guy to just add into any equation. Like, you have some friends that are like, I don't know if Tom will fit into this group, or I'm kind of worried about Taylor here. He might not get along with these other guys. He might not like them. They don't like him. Neil is just like, whatever you're doing, if you add Neil in it, it becomes better.
Is Neil the role player friend?
Neil, yeah, he's always a good time, and having him with me that day made that day extra special. It'd been great with my dad too, but like Neil, like I said, it's just always fun with that guy. And so watching Cosner come out of the corn, almost meeting Cosner, we came within an arm's length, watching that baseball game, having that day we did. I mean, it's hard to top the Field of Dreams game this past year.
Watching it on TV was, I mean, me and millions of my friends did it, but it was a spectacle.
And Moonlighters from around the world.
They did it right. I mean, there were so many things that they did. I mean, the game itself was awesome. And the home runs going into the end of the game, like there was so much excitement all the way till the final out. But the way the production, they nailed it.
Production. And there wasn't even a final out.
That's right, of course. Walk off.
So what's next on your list, Tommy?
Obviously with an Olympic year. I mean, it wasn't an Olympic year, but it became an Olympic year. So celebrating the 2020 Olympics in 2021 is a highlight of the year, because hopefully that never happens again.
Was it a highlight though?
I enjoy the Olympics. Like we're the kind of people. My wife was a swimmer. We're the kind of people who are watching every night, and then we're the kind of people who we're watching synchronized diving, being like, "There's a tent. Come on, man, keep it together. Go through the cylinder."
So I'm a big Olympics fan too, but this was the least exciting Olympics of my lifetime because of the time differential and the lack of spectators. I thought it really took away, even though like it was still fun to watch the Olympics.
It was weird, no doubt about it. And I think just the whole thing, it was the 2020 Olympics. I mean, they called it that. The Tokyo game. I mean, it was weird, no doubt about it. And then obviously Simone Biles having to step away. And there was just a lot of weird stories around the games. But the Olympics are the Olympics, and Suni Lee, and that was a great story. Track was fun to watch at Sydney McLaughlin. That was fun. The women's 4x4. Like, I was just trying to go through all the highlights. Obviously, there was a lot of success, like Dresser and Ledecky and some of the swimmers. But it was so fun to watch. I just really enjoy the Olympics. We get into it at our house big time.
We're at 145 degrees in the sauna right now. Starting to get a little hot in here, Tom. Speaking of getting a little hot in here, my wife's having twins. So another personal highlight, family highlight for me is we have twins on the way. We're 16 weeks right now Actually, tomorrow we're going in to see the twins with an ultrasound. We don't know their sexes or their genders yet. We know there's at least one boy. We don't know if the other one's a boy or a girl. Can't tell.
Wow.
So the blood work says boy. But then the visual told a different story.
What are the old wives' tales like? Are you swinging things over her tummy or flipping cards or whatever the heck they do?
Yeah, we're just kind of confused. You know, like from all the trust the science stuff that you've heard over the last couple of years, and then all of a sudden we're saying like, I'm not sure if we can trust the science on this. Like it's just throwing me for a little bit of loop. I just kind of want to know.
Do you want a prediction?
Yeah,
we're in the sauna. It's almost 150. It's not really a hot take, but I'm going to call my shot. I'm saying boy and a girl.
You're saying boy. I think boy girl too.
Tim Flattery is going to be a dad of a daughter. No doubt about it.
Tori thinks boy. I think boy girl. Looking up the odds, half of fraternal twins are boy girl. The other half are either girl or boy. So boy girl is the most common.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Type of fraternal twin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like they are what they are.
Oh,
you know, the test isn't gonna like. So we got to figure out that tomorrow. But the interesting thing is when we went in there, Tori predicted twins.
That's incredible.
She predicted twins a couple of weeks before we went in for the first ultrasound. And so when we went in, everybody always asked, like, what was that like? Were you surprised? And it was like, well, not really, because in the back of our heads, we had kind of been joking about twins for a couple of weeks prior to that. And then when we saw that it was twins and there's two little babies up on the ultrasound, we just started laughing for like an hour straight because it was almost like, you got to be kidding me. She was right. She called this. So
best surprise, or well, not surprise, best called shot. That's awesome.
Best called shot. Called shot of the year. Tori Flattery calling the twins.
That's awesome. It's you, man. I have twin nephews. Obviously, you've got twins in your family. Like it is. I'm excited for you guys. I can't wait to watch the show.
150 degrees. Tommy, what's next on your list?
Kind of going back to, like I said, that with the Hyperion thing, and you mentioned it with the crowds at the Olympics. I felt like one of the highs of this year is, although I would say we're, whatever normal is, things still aren't like normal. There was a lot of more normal. I feel like we were able to kind of get back to normal a little bit. I got to take my son to the Iowa State football game. We went to my wife and I went to the Iowa State football game. I took my son to his first Iowa game against Colorado State. We went to the Iowa State wrestling meet. Like, you got to do some of that stuff. And getting back to normal was a high. But I think, like, the ultimate thing was, like, family get-togethers and just appreciating those things more. I've got a huge family. So getting together, my brother got married. My sister-in-law got married. Family Christmas a few weeks ago. Like, that stuff was great.
What did Jack Griffin think of the Iowa State wrestling meet? Because there was, like, a brawl kind of at the end.
He loved, up until the brawl, he wasn't totally with it because he's playing around and, he's sick. So he went to the bathroom about 6 times. So we missed a lot. But Iowa State does it pretty cool. They have like pyrotechnics when their guys are coming out, the music. He's a wrestler, signed him up for his first real wrestling tournament this Sunday at Earlham.
Come on out, Jack Griffin.
Come on, Super Pee Wee. That's what the class is called.
Super Pee Wee,
which is hilarious to me. But so he loved it though, and the atmosphere, and it's intense. And then my brother and my nephew are there, and so he's like, they're Cyclone fans. We got Hawkeye stuff. It was a blast. So he didn't really get what was going on at the end with the kerfuffle, but loved being a little bit back to normal.
My back to normal thing was seeing people rush the field.
Yeah,
and it was. You saw it almost too much, but I was for it every time.
I'm pro field rush.
I am pro field rush. I'm pro court storming. I think it's absurd when you see like schools getting fined. It's like the farther I get away from college, 2 things are happening. Number one, I'm starting to feel weird with my relationship with college sports a little bit. I'm like, I feel weird like critiquing 18-year-old kids like I used to. And I'm just not as invested in college sports as I used to. But at the same time, I'm also like, hey, college students, enjoy the heck out of that time. And if you want to rush the field, if that game means so much to you that you want to run the field, let them do it.
When I was at Iowa, I had a big part in it. We beat Wisconsin to get a share of the Big Ten title before
Let's
it was
go.
East-West. Oh, man, we were front row the whole game. It was awesome. Storm in the field. You find the players and you're patting them. I can remember storming the field at Iowa State when I was a kid, like patting Sage Rosenfels on the shoulder. I remember doing that. God, I've stormed the field as an adult. When it was Iowa State, Oklahoma State a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And
That Thursday night game?
Yes. I was with my wife, my pregnant wife, and we stormed the field.
Julia stormed the field pregnant?
She was jumping around. She was going crazy. She loves her Cyclones.
The last time I stormed the field, and maybe I've told this story before, but we were on a recruiting visit to Oklahoma State for Neil. Neil was on a recruiting visit for track at Oklahoma State, who's got an amazing track and cross-country program there. And I was there because my mom couldn't go, and we had to drive through the night. So it was my dad, myself, and Neil. And we're on the field before the game, and that stadium is unbelievable. Like, I know Hawkeye fans aren't going to believe this, but it's like it blows Kinnick out of the water. You just got to see the amount of money T. Boone Pickens has pumped into that stadium is hard to believe unless you've seen it in person. And we're literally on the field before the game for the Bedlam game. It's Oklahoma State. And I remember I took a picture with Doug Gottlieb, and then we ended up being in the first row. Oklahoma State, they had who was the old quarterback? Brandon Whedon. Brandon Whedon's last game, that game. And Oklahoma State blew Oklahoma out of the water. They rushed the field. And we were in the front row of the student section for this recruiting trip. And so it was either get bowled over, get run over, or go on the field. We go on the field, and we're in the mob, and there's a camera going over the field from the ESPN production.
Awesome.
And the mob is moving with the camera to try to get on the. And at one point, the mob lifted me off of my feet. And I've never felt like more scared in my life because I felt like I was going to get crushed by the mob. Wow. And then they tore the goalpost down, and I had to run, and I tackled Neil out of the way so he wouldn't get crushed by the falling goalpost. Like, it was crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, I was a little bit afraid for my life for a while, and I remember thinking I just had to protect Neil, my baby brother.
Wow.
Neil. Yeah.
Because Neil's the guy you can bring anywhere.
I know. So that was the last time I stormed the field. But keep storming the field, kids.
Oh, absolutely. Last storm in the field story. When I was in high school, Iowa State beat Nebraska in Ames. It was like it was a November
I remember that game. It was
okay.
the first time in a long time. Seneca
crazy.
Wallace.
Yes, and we were on the hillside in the south end zone, and we stormed the field, of course, because we were just in the crowd and everything. But there are people up on the goalpost. That's the only time I've ever been in a field storming where people were up on the goalpost, and they're rocking them. I don't think they came down, but they're rocking. It was crazy. Those things, yeah. Thank God you saved Neil.
174 degrees
Feeling that.
here in the sauna.
I am feeling it.
Other highlights from my year, and I'm going to list off a couple of playoff baseball.
Yeah.
I thought the baseball was unbelievable in October this year. Every night, every game was great. I wished more sports fans were tuning into it. And actually the numbers were good on it, but it was such good baseball each and every night. Tom Brady, it's just fun to continue to root for Tom Brady. Like, the entire time that I've kind of been interested in pro sports, he's been like my guy. And to be able to still cheer for him is weird. It's like a video game at this point.
You've grown up with him.
Byron Buxton when Byron Buxton was healthy this past year, was the best player in baseball for when he was healthy. And it's just awesome to see the Twins sign that guy up long term because I love me some Byron Buxton. Giannis, big Giannis guy. Maybe my favorite basketball player today, seeing him win a title for Milwaukee, stay in Milwaukee, win a title for Milwaukee. I could watch Giannis so much. And isn't it weird, Tom, that LeBron is, probably the second greatest basketball player ever. And yet Giannis has been a two-time MVP and the reigning NBA champ. And Steph is the most influential basketball player of this generation, even with LeBron in it. Jordan, when Jordan was playing pre-Wizards, he was the guy. He won the titles, he won the MVPs, he had the throne. Where it's the most influential guy as far as changing the game is Steph. The best player in the game is probably KD or Giannis right now. But LeBron's still really, really good.
It's crazy. I think, I'm not a huge NBA fan, but I follow it. I like to watch it during the playoffs. I've actually started watching the Bulls a little bit because they're kind of fun to watch. And but I think something that's different from when we were young is when we were young and MJ was king, there weren't that many games on TV.
Yeah.
The Bulls were always on because we were the Midwest and they
WGN.
were the best. But like, you didn't get to see as many games. And then social media has just really transformed the game. Now, like, how does Steph's game translate? Or how does Katie's game translate or whatever? Like, I don't know. But like, when you're watching basketball now, I know players better than I know like teams or even what team they're on sometimes. You know, like, because they all have identities and they have brands and they have marketing and they have Instagram and they have, like, I feel like being super talented isn't even enough. It's like bigger than just being a good basketball player now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the example. Like, is it Zion?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Zion has it all, but he's in New Orleans.
Yes,
and he's
great example.
360 pounds right now. I'm trying to think of
the Eddie Lacy of
the guy that's in the wrong market. Maybe it's like the Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Utah had, you know, they were good back in the 90s and they're good today, but still you don't really pay attention to Utah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the Bulls with like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and stuff. Like, those are guys, now that they're playing together and the team's a little bit better, like, you're noticing it more. But
Kyrie Irving isn't even playing
yes.
and still getting more headlines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
My other favorite, my last like of the season is what's happening in the NBA right now with all the COVID. And I'm not pro COVID here.
Whoa.
But you have like something like the most players to ever play in an NBA season have already played in this NBA season because they're literally just getting guys off of the street.
Yes.
And it's a mess, and I don't support the mess. But Joe Johnson, 40 years old,
yes.
comes in, he's still in shape, guy's still hooping because he's got like teenage kids. And he comes in and he scores a bucket for the Celtics the other night.
Yeah.
And I love when you get random dudes. I mean, that's what this pod's about, like random role players, underdogs, guys that get their chance. And so many moonlighters are going to get their chance in the NBA. And same with like NFL and the COVID
yes.
stuff right now. You're seeing like somebody made a call to Drew Brees to
yes.
come off the street the other. And it's like, I love that. Even though I think it's like kind of ridiculous at the same time, I still love it that, you know, the garbage picking, field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomenon might happen this year, Tom.
It's the kind of the cliche example is like the hockey team that is a goalie short and they pull in a guy from a rec league and for one game, you know, or whatever.
I tried to get that guy on the pod too, and
that'd be awesome.
Never did get him.
But like Phillip Rivers, that was the headline today. Ian Book played for the Saints the other night. I mean, that was just ugly,
terrible.
Yeah, it just doesn't work well in football because it's such a team game and there's so much to it. But you're just seeing crazy stories. You're seeing the Saints have played more players than any team in this league in the NFL. Same kind of situation.
We're at 190 degrees right now.
Yeah,
it's
feeling
hot.
It. Yeah,
you feeling?
I'm melting it a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So, Tom, what else do you have on your highlights of the year? But we haven't even got to the lowlights yet.
No. A couple of my highlights. I'll hit a couple quick, like you did. Bill, really riffing off of something you said. I love some of the championships this year. The Atlanta Braves winning the World. That's fun to see because it's. I mean, not that they were bad or a surprise. They did have kind of a surprising year, but it's not a normal winner.
Yes.
Tom Brady winning with the Bucks. Obviously, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. It's not a surprise he won a Super Bowl, but the Bucks and the way it happened, and Bruce Arians and bringing Gronk back, like that was a fun one to watch. The Milwaukee Bucks is the other one I had written down. I love watching. Like I said, I'm not a diehard basketball fan, but I do love Giannis. And part of the love of Giannis is Giannis off the court. When he's like...
He's just the best guy.
Yeah, he's like, he has a Big Mac, and he's like, I love America. This is the greatest country. So that's always fun.
That was quite the Greek...
I know.
That was quite the Greek
I'm
accent.
sorry. Giannis. Hey, I know Giannis, you're probably listening. I apologize for that one.
Yeah,
man.
sorry,
You
Giannis.
Text me, DM me back, and we'll talk. A couple other highlights. Going to the Iowa State game, that was a blast. My wife is a Cyclone fan. My brother and his wife are Cyclone fans. So wearing my Hawkeye stuff in it, like that was really fun to be back in a crowd. The game day, all that stuff.
How about the Penn State Iowa football game?
Penn State Iowa football game.
That
the crowd
was
was
really
literally
awesome.
The crowd was literally a factor.
Oh yeah,
You know?
feel like the worst thing that happened to the Penn State Iowa game is the Purdue game that happened the week after.
Yeah.
Which was such a letdown that you forget how big of a high.
Iowa was number 2.
Number 2.
Iowa was number 2. And you know what? Like, they get routed by Michigan. I get it. Were they really the number 2? I hate when people say that. Yes, they were really the number 2 team in the country at that point in the season. Now, what would Iowa do in the playoff? God, I'm worried about Cincinnati. Couple other highlights, a couple quick hitters. The entire Hawkeye Wrestling National Championship, especially though Spencer Lee, right? That interview was great. I love how college wrestling is glomming on to these characters like AJ Ferrari from Oklahoma State, Gable Steveson from Minnesota. Like, those are great personalities. Olympic champion. Already, the name, image, likeness thing I know we're going to talk about. He's already signed with the WWE, I believe, because that's where he's going. Like, that dude could probably play in the NFL.
He was one of the big winners from the Olympics.
Love Gable Steveson. He's a gopher, but love Spencer Lee. I love that culture, though, and that national tournament was really fun to watch. And probably my last real – no, I got a couple other sports ones, but Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, yeah.
Love that. That made baseball – that was like appointment viewing for me.
I hope that what Shohei Ohtani does is promotes more guys doing multiple things. I hope we see more guys trying to pitch and hit, and I hope baseball fosters that and try to create more of the Shohei Ohtanis because, the guy's amazing, and Asian baseball culture is so cool. I love like the mix of all the cultures in the game of baseball, and that guy is a freak, and baseball should promote the heck out of him. They're doing a good job, but like continue to pour all the money into Shohei.
Kind of like go full Giannis with him.
Yes.
Okay, my last true sports one is I'm just excited. I know it's not the same, and I know games are getting canceled, but having bowl games after last year's weird bowl game season, we're still kind of having it with games getting canceled, but crowds, people, I'm excited about the Hawkeye Bowl game. I feel like it's a good matchup. Excited about the Cyclone Bowl game as long as they get to play.
This goes back to one of my lowlights. I'm just in a weird place with college sports right now where I've never been less excited about a bowl season than I am right now. And I don't know if it's my age or like with what COVID's kind of done to college football, but I'm kind of not into it right now.
I think so that we're not to get ahead, but I think this is going to come into some of our lowlights. Yeah. I think some of the rapid changes taking place with the name, image, likeness thing. I think
the transfer rules.
I think, I think the coaching thing, name, image, likeness had nothing to do with it. But the coaching carousel crap, oh my God. Nothing drives me crazier than the Chip Kelly to LSU when you're still playing.
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly, yeah. The Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma. That stuff should happen in February. That stuff should happen after the season, but obviously that's not going to change.
Yeah, it's happening like 6 hours after the time runs off the clock of the game that they just played.
The fourth quarter, his agent's negotiating the deal. I hate that stuff.
We got to get to the lowlights because it's over 200 degrees now, and we're getting hot. So my lowlights, first of all, you hear it over and over in sports commentating, and it drives me absolutely crazy when people say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's not the definition of insanity.
When you text me that, I was like, what? What does he even mean by that?
The definition of insanity is being like being in a mental state of like
not sane.
Okay? Just because Albert Einstein said something 150 years ago doesn't mean that is like it's not actually the definition of insanity. And it also goes against like all of the process-oriented stuff that we talk about in sports. Because sometimes in sports, I know former Hawkeye lifting coach Chris Doyle's talk about like pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock. Eventually that rock's going to break, right? That's a lot of the things in sports where you do the same thing over and over again and you focus on not the results, but the process. And eventually the results will change. And yet we get this definition of insanity thing that just drives me nuts because every time I hear it, I just want to wring the guy by its neck.
Sports cliches deserve their own sauna episode.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we should do that.
Joke. We could have everybody submit their favorite and least favorite. But when you text me that, I was like, what's he going to talk about? And then as soon as you said it, I'm like, yeah, because routine, habit. Tom Brady is an excellent example of that. Dude's been around for 20 years. It's not because he changes what he does every 2 days.
What's your top low light of the year, Tom?
Oh, my God.
We're at about 210 degrees right now.
Can I venture outside of sports?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is I'm going to I'm going to go both sides here because that's what I like to do. And this isn't just a this year thing, but my top low light is Tiger King 2 and all that crap. I think like the demise of America could be summarized in the fact that stuff was. I mean, I watched it. Don't get me wrong, because obviously
You watched the second one?
we did.
You
but it was
almost
more
wanted to lie about it.
No, I would not lie. I'm not a liar. We're trying to teach Jack not to lie. Let's not go there. But no, it's one of those things like it's a train wreck and you're watching it. But it's like the fact that people view that as normal is like that should be a red flag that parts of our country or parts of our society act that way. The opposite of that, though, one of the highlights, I think, Ted Lasso, man. If we could get more Ted Lasso and less Tiger King, I think America could be in a great place.
I loved season 1 of Lasso. I have not seen season 2. And I loved it. I tried to make Ted Lasso a show that Tori and I could watch together because I thought it'd be a perfect that show. You're always looking for shows to watch with your wife. So I wanted Tori to go back to season 1 so then we could start season 2 together. She lasted like an episode and a half and then never got past it. Then went to like Selling Sunset. And so I'm still out on season 2 of Ted Lasso. So I
it's more of the same. It's hard to beat Ted Lasso 1, right? It's hard to beat the first season. But anyway, and sidebar, we don't even have to talk about it. Squid Game. God, come on.
So Squid Game was great, but to your point, it was just a total perversion of all of that stuff.
Totally.
The violence, the money, the greed.
Yes.
It's like boiled humanity down to just like these 4 vices. And and that's kind of leads to my next point. One of the lowlights is how all of sports has just gone full gambling.
Yeah.
Every podcast you listen to, every radio show, every game, ESPN, it's all gambling. And you have FanDuel and DraftKings and Bet Rivers and Caesars. They are running sports right now.
It's every commercial is nonstop.
And people think it's so great. Like every podcast in this, I'm conflating 2 things here because one of my beefs is like every sports podcast I listen to in the football season turns into end of the week, we make our picks.
Every week. Start
of the week, we talk about our picks. That just happened on the weekend. And it's so lazy. And then, like, first of all, you don't know anything about gambling. Second of all, gambling's an addiction, ruins tons of people's lives. You used to have to go to a racetrack, get away from your family to ruin your life. Now you can do it from the comfort of your own home while you're watching Sunday football, and you could be bleeding your family's bank account without them even knowing from the comfort of your phone. And I just find it so ridiculous that, like, there's a reason why we don't have tobacco commercials on TV anymore. There's a reason why we don't promote, or like every alcohol commercial ends with drink responsibly, but gambling, it's just like, we're all about it. And every bro in the world thinks they're like the gambling expert and they're celebrating betting on 15 games a day when it's an illness. You are actively getting yourself into an illness. Like in my mind, it's a vice that is up there with smoking, drinking, drugs, pornography. Like gambling is right there, except for we're all ignoring it because they're just giving us money.
I think there's like a normalized culture of like fun gambling that a lot of people do where they're $10 here and $5 there to, keep it interesting and stuff.
But the reason why casinos do that is because they know.
Because the other half. Yeah. They know that they're still. I totally agree with you. I don't really gamble. I'm kind of a cheapskate when it comes to that. It'd be
like if tobacco companies were saying, we'll give you the first pack of cigarettes for free. No. You know how that ends up. You know what I mean? I mean, this is what's happening right now, and everybody's just full bore because they're sponsoring everything. And every stupid sports fan thinks they got but if I only play when they give me free money or on the boosted stuff, I'll never lose. It's like you're dumb. You're dumb.
Okay. Whew. Did you just break the seal? We're at 200. I think our waters are boiling at this point.
Yeah, we are hot in here, Tommy.
Okay, one of mine, it almost kind of branches off that. I think the name, image, likeness thing, I'm okay with it because I think a lot, especially in like football, they're putting their life on the line and their futures. But I feel like the name, image, likeness thing, because I think there was so pent up demand, it has become nuts immediately. And I think we're on a fast track to the worst case scenario.
My gripe with the name, image, and likeness thing is not that it exists, because I think it's a good step. What I've been disappointed about is there's been no good NIL stuff. It's been like printing crappy t-shirts and every college athlete thinking that they're Tiger Woods or Tom Brady to create their own like TB12 logo, like I'm making a Tim Flattery logo. Like everybody wants my logo on their shirt. It's like, no, that's ridiculous. Nobody wants that crap. And you're not actually making real money selling T-shirts.
I think that's kind of like the perfect, like, not economics, entrepreneurship lesson. Like, they don't know what to do with it, right? And arguably, and I'm generalizing huge broad strokes, but like, that's like entry level. You've got an idea, put it on a T-shirt, sell the T-shirt, that using your name. But I think we're on a very fast track to, and I'm sure there's probably a rule against it. But the MGM, Caesars sponsoring the athlete, the guy signs with USC or somewhere because the name, image, likeness opportunities. Like, I think we're on a fast track to people using it for bad. Like, I have nothing wrong with the punting is winning, Tory Taylor.
Yeah,
that's totally fine with me.
But there's not like, I guess I was expecting more creativity and like innovation from it, and we just haven't seen it.
I think it's going to come, but I think it's going to go in a direction that's not good for college sports.
But I mean, there's rules against it. They can't promote certain things.
Right. That's what I mean. I know there are rules against it, but I just don't think we're that far away from it becoming like as I'm obviously I'm a premier high school athlete. My NIL deals are going to be a lot better in certain markets, just like a professional athlete choosing which team they want to go to.
I'm surprised. Like, I haven't seen one TV ad with a college athlete.
Not like a big market one.
No, like I've seen crappy car wash commercials and stuff on YouTube that have like made the rounds through social media. Most of them are like a joke,
right?
And I get that side of it. Nothing against it, but it's like it's almost that was the joke before. Like, it's like, yeah, you're going to get car wash ads, and then they're doing car wash ads, and it's like, are they in on the joke, or I can't really tell.
But you got to think, like, if you're a college kid, and I'm an average college kid, if you get the opportunity for whatever the limits are and whatever the rules are, a few $1,000 or something, like,
I'm not above it.
No?
I'm not saying I'm above it.
Well, and if you've got nothing or no other income.
I just thought we'd see, you've seen, football quarterback goes to Ohio State for $1 million, and then he leaves 8 months later.
Yeah.
That's only going to hurt the next guy that's looking for $1 million deal. You have seen some like TikTok stuff, like girls on TikTok, cheerleaders, gymnasts, they've made good deals.
Yeah.
I don't understand the TikTok marketplace, but like it's also out of my world.
Right.
I haven't seen a lot of this stuff come into the mainstream.
That foreshadows one of my worst of the year, but
yeah. Well, let's get right into it.
Well,
because this ties into a Squid Game.
Yeah.
Like,
I just read this week, so I'm not super tech guy. I'm not reading Wired magazine. I just read this week though, TikTok surpassed Google as the most visited website in the world. The number of daily users and all that stuff in the billions. TikTok has surpassed Google, and I do not know how that's a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
I
mean, it strictly coincides with teenage depression and teenage suicide skyrocketing right now, along with schools being closed and all that stuff too. There's a reason why TikTok is only allowed for kids under 13 for 40 minutes a day in China, where TikTok came from. And like, it's just running rampant in the West. And I think it's a complete addiction. And, it goes in with, adds cell phone addiction into it. But I think TikTok's algorithm is the best of the best.
That might,
like, it's the hottest drug you could ever take from a social media standpoint.
I think that is that's probably my lowest low of the year. That's my 2021 low light, was reading that this week.
And similar to that, though, like the gambling thing, it's almost like, yeah, but this is just the way it is. Like, we don't have any control over it. Like, you can not download TikTok, or you can keep your kids from doing it. That's part of like self-control and parenting.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think so. I think that, obviously my oldest is 9, your oldest is 1. I think that is a critical role of the parent though. And it's easy to say because my oldest is only 9.
Does she ask for TikTok yet? Does she have a phone yet?
She does. Well, she has a disconnected phone, so she can have, like, at home, it's like an iPad.
Yep.
You know what I mean? She can text us and she can text her, aunts and stuff. But
do her friends have phones? Like, is she asking for a phone yet? I have no idea.
I don't know if any of her friends has a real phone. I don't think not that I know of, none of her friends have a real phone. But yeah, as a high school teacher, getting kids to put their phone away. Like, people are worried about teachers indoctrinating kids. I can't get them to put their phone away. So if you want me to try to indoctrinate them to believe something, teach me how to get them to put their phone away first, and then I'll do my best.
That's a good question. I want to teacher on the hot seat right now.
Uh-oh.
How do you handle that in class? Like, when we were in high school, I didn't have a cell phone. I'm not sure if you did. Like, it might have been 50-50 kids having phones or not. You had the Nokia ones. Some people had the flip phones. But nowadays, the phone is like a lifeline. Like, I remember Elon Musk one time said, like, when people were bitching about chips being planted in your brains, it's like, you
carry it around.
Attached. We are
both you and I have our chips on our wrist too right now.
Exactly. So when you have kids, you can't say like leave it in their locker nowadays. So they have it in the room. So what can you do?
Yeah, different schools have different policies. They're like innovative solutions. Like, have you been to a concert though, or like I've heard it with comedy shows where you have to like put it in the neoprene bag,
the bags, yeah,
and it like the magnet. I've heard of schools doing that.
We went to a Michael Bublé concert. He made us do that.
Yeah, see, there are innovative solutions like that. There are also like old school ones where you go to like the dollar store, you get the shoe organizer that hangs on a door.
Oh yeah,
you have every kid put their phone in.
Do people do that?
Not at my school because that's not kind of the norm, but other places do. So there are norm solutions, but. And innovative solutions, I mean. But for me, man, it's like start a class. I was like, okay, hey guys, phones put away, earbuds out of your ears, and kids like
earbuds.
Oh my god, dude, it's insane. Kids will constantly try to be listening to something during class, constantly, and it's like, what are you doing? They're like, I was just listening. I just had to turn it. I love my students. I seriously, I love my job. I love Johnston. I have great students, great colleagues. I have no bad things to say, but it's like. And the kids know it, right? Like, they know. When you're like, come on, dude, put your phone away. They're like, resist, but they're like, yeah, you're right. I need to put... But, man, that is a culture shift, and I don't know how we make it.
What else is on your list? Man, this has taken a dark and a hot turn, Tommy. I am sweating my butt off.
You've opened the door a couple times, and we're over 190.
I'll admit, we've cracked the door twice, but we're almost at 200 again. I wouldn't have made it 5 minutes ago.
T. Boone, who runs this place, he said he got the superheater in there. He's got the bucket of water so we can throw it.
This is the hottest sauna in Central Iowa.
That's what I read in where are we at? Des Moines Living Magazine. Yeah. Shane Goodman production. Okay, lighter subject. And I get capitalism. I get, hey man, I want to spend my money too. One of my lowlights of the year is the billionaire space race. Oh my God. Tell me, what the hell is going on with that? Like, I get it. You're super rich. You can. Does that mean you should? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're right. I don't think it. I feel like it was just a dick measuring contest, right?
Especially, what was it, the Blue Origin one? I think.
Yeah,
it was
Bezos
one.
looked like a penis. But okay, so if NASA's not innovating in the space thing, then we need private industry to be doing it.
No, I think this gets into like a capitalistic but moralistic conversation. Like, I agree, like, NASA should innovate. Somebody should innovate.
Right.
Should it be private sector or should it be public sector? Should it be like UN type international collegiate? Like, because, I teach history. You go back to the 80s. Number one goal was to weaponize space, right?
Right.
Star Wars do we want that? Then you get into the space junk, and then I don't know, what's the new movie out that's about the asteroid? They remade.
I think that's a take on climate change, right?
No, didn't they? I thought there's a new Armageddon movie that's not Armageddon and doesn't have an Aerosmith song. Isn't there? I might be.
There's
wrong.
one about the moon that Halle Berry's in. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about.
Oh God, I should be better with my pop culture.
But yeah, I mean, I thought the space race was kind of ridiculous as well, but I also didn't care all that much. Like, I was surprised by how much people cared about it, but I think it was because you had Musk, Branson, and Bezos all doing it at the same time. And I think Branson actually moved his up a month to beat Bezos, which was ridiculous. But it's also like, I mean, I guess we can get in an argument about, tax incentives that these companies have. But if they're doing it with their own money, I really didn't care.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at is like the public-private thing. And I'm not smart enough to like debate this, so I certainly would not. If anybody has deep thoughts on it, I could be easily swayed. But yeah, like if Tesla is publicly funded for X, Y, and Z, like, I don't know. Is that, and not that he used government
SpaceX
money. Yeah, but not, I mean, it's not the same thing. I know like you said earlier, I'm kind of conflating things here, but yeah, I just think that billionaire space race, I just don't think I don't know. I don't know that that's a good thing that our world needs.
Yeah, I didn't care all that much, and I don't care all that.
All right, swing and miss.
I think somebody needs. Well, I mean, we don't have to agree. I think somebody needs to be sending rockets up.
Don't look up. is the movie
Yeah.
I'm talking about. That's about climate change.
It's like it's a joke.
A new film about a killer comet.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
But
okay.
it's like they're trying to tell the world about the comet, but really
Gotcha.
the comet is climate change. Or I've read you could take it as climate change, or you could take it as COVID.
Or TikTok.
Like it's all just like
Metaphor.
how dumb the world is.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I'm too busy watching Tiger King 2.
Yeah, which is great. I'm on my third viewing of Squid Game. So,
Hoping for a different ending.
yeah, I don't know if I'll watch it. Like one of those things with Netflix movies, and this is like the old school guy in me, is like there's still this thing that there's less prestige if it just goes straight to like HBO Max or Netflix. Where if it's like, oh, Dune. If Dune just went to Netflix, I would have never seen it. But because it gave my wife and I a chance to get out of the house and go to a movie, we saw Dune. Whereas, like, I don't think I'm going to take 2 hours at my house to watch a movie that I'm, like, generally interested in.
I'm the same way. Like, I'm not a huge movie guy. I'm not, unless it's a kid movie.
I like going to the movies.
Oh, going to the movies, but I'm not going to, like, sit at home and be like,
There's so much
deep
good,
dive.
like, prestige TV on that I'd rather watch Succession,
Yeah.
Hard Knocks in season, I
don't have HBO, so-
Yellowstone,
Hell
like
yeah, Yellowstone.
some of those things rather than like a 2.5 hour movie, which I'm not sure I'm going to like.
Yep.
Where it's like, I know I'm going to like season 3, episode 5 of Yellowstone.
And you know what you're getting because it's like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Like,
I like that.
and I know what they're giving. Like, I know I'm being tricked. Like, I know it's a cowboy soap opera. I know they're laying into the Costner thing. You know what I mean?
What do you mean you're being tricked? It's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean it's a
I
soap.
hear you.
You know what I mean? Like I get it, and
But it's also
they got
awesome.
me. Yeah.
I wore my cowboy boots out on our date last night. So.
Speaking of that, we were talking about hair transplant surgeries before we got in here. Cosner's obviously had hair transplant surgery.
But he still looks great.
It looks great. It looks better now than ever. Like and I don't fault him for it. But if you look at his hair in like The Postman or some of the movies in the 90s, like post Dances with Wolves, that era, bad. Like he was losing it. And now I was looking closely the other night in Yellowstone. Hair looks great. And it's blonder than ever.
My position on the hair plugs thing is obviously it's your money, do what you want. If it's part of your livelihood, every time we crack like 210, we got to open that door a little
I know
bit.
it just hit 210 again. I had to crack the door.
I don't blame you. If it's part of your livelihood, if you're Kevin Costner and you're an actor, you're on TV, get hair plugs. I mean, if Tom Griffin starts losing his hair, book it. I'm shaving my head.
Yeah, I'm okay with either route.
Yeah, I have no qualms, but
Yeah, like just don't wear the toupee.
Oh,
if
no.
you wear a toupee, I'll make fun of you.
No.
But if you're gonna do the hair plugs or the transplant stuff, all about it.
yeah,
Like,
you do you.
yeah.
Hey, you got enough money for hair plugs and a rocket to space? Get your hair plugged and fly to the moon, buddy.
My other thing that I was disappointed about this year, and this is just kind of an every year thing, but the Baseball Hall of Fame just continues to be a mess. Like these baseball writers, blank ballots, you got so many guys that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. They're clogging up the ballot because guys won't vote for them. That it's keeping guys like Scott Rowland out. But you have like guys that like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Kurt Schilling. I'm sure there's more I can't think of right now. But like those guys are Hall of Famers. Just put them in the Hall of Fame so it opens the door for, I don't know, maybe Todd Helton to get a real look. Maybe Torrey Hunter to get a real look. Scott Rowland. Like those guys aren't getting fair shakes. John Donaldson. John Donaldson, Negro League's all-star, played in Fort Dodge a number of times. He didn't get in this year because I think that's a different ballot though.
Okay.
So that's a different ballot. That's like a, not a golden era, but I think it's just a Negro League's separate thing. And with that is like finally they're realizing like we need more than like 5 guys from the Negro Leagues in. And you had Bud Foster get in, first ever black guy to play professional baseball, long past due. There was somebody else got in. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but Donaldson just missed. But these guys all need to be in, and that's a separate ballot. But like the Baseball Hall of Fame, the writers, they just gotta get that figured out. Baseball keeps shooting themselves in the foot.
That's what I was going to say. Is I feel like baseball is doing its best to ruin itself as a fans game.
Man, I used to just really be holding firm for what's the guy, the commissioner.
Tagley? No.
Paul Tagley.
Bud?
Not Bud Selig, but This is how hot it is I can't remember anything. My brain's going to crap. But like I was holding the line for him for a long time, and now I'm just like I can't defend that guy anymore.
This is gonna drive me.
I know.
I feel you. I think as a casual baseball fan, I will watch because of Shohei Ohtani. I'll watch because of the exciting postseason.
Baseball's in a great place as a game.
But the debates around robo-umps, replay, the baseball writers every year with the All-Star or the Hall of Fame balloting, it's like
it's nauseating.
they make you. They're like trying to be so elitist that they won't let you in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The guys that say they love baseball the most are also critiquing the game the most. Like at some point, we need you guys to be celebrating certain parts of the game instead of just trying to tear down every little thing.
Get on board.
My last thing, Tom, that I have on my list was, well, besides the Twins stinking, but that was a big disappointment. But Shelby Houlihan, Moonlighter, testing positive for roids.
Yeah.
That's like a career ender.
That was surprising.
And I wished I got tested positive more often, or I wish I got tested for roids at some point, so I really understood what they're going through. Like if I ate a pork burrito, so now I tested positive for steroids, like if that stuff holds any water, because it all sounds like BS to me.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like, you're going to be tested. How many times have you heard a story where the guy or the athlete is like, I just took something because they said it was okay. It's like, if your career's on the line, aren't you paying attention to that approved items
I
list
don't
or
believe
whatever?
any of them.
I know. That's what I mean. It's
as
like,
much as I like Shelby Houlihan when she was on the show, like I just don't believe them.
I just don't get it. Like, I don't know how it works, but man, from the outside looking in, it just never looks good.
We're at 215 degrees. Tom, what else is on your lowlights list?
I have one more item on my lowlights list. I don't know that it belongs. I don't know that it makes the cut at 215 degrees.
Well, now you got to say it.
Oh, man. The whole game.
We already said the space race.
We already did the billionaire space race. The billionaire pissing contest. It's the game stunk. That whole thing. Like, I'm as a teacher, my students are asking me to explain it to them, and I'm like, all right, kids, hold on. Money is not real. That's what I had to lead with. Like that stuff. Like, again, I don't think like the Robin Hoods and all these different things that are kind of democratizing Wall Street. And all, I don't know that all of these things are good.
Wait a minute. So are you a Wall Street guy? Are you a hedge fund guy?
No, I'm just saying that if currency can be if stocks can be manipulated that easily, like it's a red alert for the system, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just read coincidentally, I just finished reading Ben Mesrich's book on this. And it's super fascinating. It's a really quick read because obviously I had to put the book together in short order about the GameStop short squeeze, but it is fascinating. And you're right. Like, I think it's great that trading is now free to trade. You know, so Wall Street's not making $5 on every trade you make, and Robinhood's giving it at your fingertips. But is there education going along and financial literacy going along with your ability to buy all this crypto and stocks? But at the same time, like the little man won on the GameStop thing. That was the fun part.
But it kind of pulls the curtain back and it shows you that the wizard isn't really a wizard, right? It's just some dude with a microphone. And that's the reality of more than I like. Oh, what was that movie a few years ago about the
Big
credit
Short.
default swap? Yeah, Big Short. Like it pulls the curtain back a little bit and you're like, wait a minute, what?
Well, I think it shows more. I think the bigger issue though is the corruption on like Wall Street and and how hedge funds can really manipulate things. And I'm actually pro like Robinhood in this particular situation because of that, where it's like the situation was GameStop was being shorted, and let's say there's 10,000 shares available of GameStop. They had like 20,000, almost 20,000 shares were being shorted. So more people were betting, twice as many people were betting that GameStop would fail, with over double the shares that were outstanding. And it was just all the big banks betting on companies that fail. And Musk has gone at all these guys. That's why you saw basically him pumping up, you know, this past year, the Tesla stock, is because all of the people that had it shorted. But ultimately, like so many of the little guys came out, you know, made big money on the GameStop thing. But to your point, yeah, it's like, do you want a Reddit thread to be, you know, providing the financial literacy for these, you know, kids, because you don't really know who those people are on the other side of it.
And not that it's right, but the system wasn't designed to operate this way. The system wasn't designed for Robinhood and democratized trading. It was designed for insider trading and a plutocracy of Vanderbilts and we can go all the way there, I guess. But,
Yeah.
But it was just crazy, and it like as a system. Oh my God, where are we going with it? My microphone is actually hot to hold right now. As a system, though, like retirement accounts and long-term stability, and like I get a notification every like 12 hours on my phone that crypto or that Bitcoin has gone up 5%, down 5%. Like,
Yeah.
there's no stability there.
I just. You said it once on a home video, Tom, that we have in my parents' basement. Power to the people, and I think like I'd rather have, instead of like the Wall Street guys, I'd rather have the power to be in the people's hands. Now you have to, with great power comes responsibility.
Yeah.
Hashtag Spider-Man. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what the solution is.
No, yeah, I don't have the solution.
No.
But the GameStop thing, I loved it because I loved that the hedge fund guy on Wall Street lost $20 billion.
That part I'm okay with. I think more of me is like in the vein of my TikTok comment, like as a sign of the times, like the potential instability and like the long-term ramifications. Like one person I know, I just saw a politician who's in a campaign hunt right now is like, I will be pro-crypto. And it's like, I think being pro-crypto is one thing, but I think that there's a reason that the monetary system operates the way it does. Not that it operates perfectly or even efficiently, but oh my God, this has become the libertarian hour of, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll have to get Andy on here to talk about crypto.
We need somebody.
Yeah, the thing with crypto, I don't understand crypto hardly at all. My brother's, the local expert on crypto, but I like the idea of Bitcoin, that you can use it as a currency, and we don't know the creator of crypto or of Bitcoin. We still don't, right? And so it's literally just like in its truest form a currency. Now it's been used on the dark web and the Silk Road and all that stuff, and that's another thing. But like the other coins, I don't get.
I have Dogecoin or whatever
like
written down.
Dogecoin, Litecoin, these other ones where they have a CEO, they're a company. Like obviously their goal here is to pump those things up, and like that is currency manipulation. If you're claiming to be a currency,
exactly.
Whereas Bitcoin seems to be like the more libertarian, off the grid,
a pure sense of
a pure thing, because there's literally, it's not a company. We don't know the creator.
We don't know the root of it. We don't know. Yeah. But I think, and I think that's the part of the thing that helps isolate Bitcoin in particular from being manipulated in the same way of was Dogecoin, was that Musk?
It was Musk.
Yeah.
And here's my Bitcoin mistake my Dogecoin mistake of the year. Because I felt like Musk was kind of manipulating the Tesla stock, like by tweets throughout the year. Right. Because,
which he did. And
it was great. And he just cashed out, and he's paying, I think, between $8 and $10 billion in taxes this year on it, because of the capital gains that he got. Guy's worth $200 billion or something like that now. But so I was like, oh, well, if this is what he's doing with Tesla stock, and you see he tweet about Dogecoin to the moon, I was like, the peak of this is going to be when he hosts SNL. So I'm going to put $100, big spender.
I'm the same way.
In Dogecoin on the Friday before SNL. He goes on SNL, and like everybody kind of saw that he's kind of a square weirdo. And Dogecoin dropped like 90% within an hour of his opening monologue on SNL. I was like, okay.
Whoops.
Yep, whoops. I deserve that. I tried to get into Doge at the last minute.
I do own like $40 in Bitcoin. So it got up to like 80. And I think it's at like 75 right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm the same way. Like I wanted to test the waters with it, but I don't know enough.
A good friend told me this. It's not timing of the market. It's time in the market.
Ooh. That sounds like
that's a big Bitcoin thing.
That sounds like an Andy Flattery maybe.
No. It wasn't Andy.
Ooh.
It was Digger.
Diggs,
yeah.
Friend of the program.
Diggs got into Bitcoin at like 4.
Nice. Diggs doing all right.
Diggs doing all right.
Are we breaking news?
What?
Is Diggs building a rocket to the moon?
Diggs is building a dick-shaped rocket to the moon race, because he might be building a rocket.
It's going to be the Diggs dick to the moon.
Yeah. It's not it's not timing of the market, it's time in the market. It's for those long-term Bitcoin holders.
There you go. Interesting. Until somebody decides to blow it up.
Well, I don't know if you can.
I don't know either. I'm just
It's
kidding.
impervious to the system.
Nothing is impervious.
Well, what system?
Let's open that. Let's keep that door open.
All right. That wraps it up.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2022.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
I'm feeling 22.
Oh, and by the way, we didn't get Cosner. We didn't get Cosner.
I texted him about tonight.
and we're wrapping up the season. So
We tried.
we tried our best. Cosner's never been bigger, and
I'll go to Montana.
we're not giving up, but
No.
we're dropping the season. The Cosner quest is on hold.
But someday,
Yeah.
we will go to Yellowstone.
Open invite.
Yeah. I will ride horses with Kevin Costner.
Man, that'd be fun. All right.
So that wraps up our year. And if you made it this far of the podcast, I'm actually a little bit surprised because I think Tom and I, we were getting a little bit short on oxygen and we went off the rails a little bit, kind of lost our way a little bit at the end. But you know what? It was worth it and it was fun. Thank you guys for listening. Special thank you to everybody that helps me out here with the podcast. Tom Griffin, he's been a great friend for many, many years. He's a great co-host here on the podcast. Thanks to my brothers, Andy and Neil. They are always great with new and fresh ideas. Thank you to Brendan Gargano. He's the best designer in the business, does all of our artwork. He's uber talented. And Brian Samvik, who does so much work for this show behind the scenes, producing it, putting it up online. Thank you, Brian Samvik. So, elephant in the room, we did not get Cosner on the podcast. Maybe you're not surprised. Maybe you are surprised. I don't know. But we've really tried to get Kevin Costner on the podcast this season. Didn't happen. I think the guy is maybe a little bit above our pay grade, or at least he thinks he is right now, but that does not mean we're fully giving up. We're just taking a little bit of a break. We've been running episodes straight through since July of this year. So it's time for us to take a little bit of a break and to regroup and then to make next season of the podcast the best one yet. As always, I said this earlier, but thank you guys so much for supporting the podcast. We really appreciate it. It's been our best year ever as far as downloads go, as far as every metric that you can measure a podcast. This year was our best, and you are to thank. So thank you so much. Have a great Christmas season. Have a wonderful new year. Stay safe, stay healthy, and get in shape. Let's go.
It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. It's a pretty good program, broadcasting to the heartland. Sports stories for the everyman. It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. Please follow us on Instagram. You're loving us on Twitter too. You download every pod we do. It's Moonlight Graham.